We're stepping into a completely new era, one where autonomous AI systems are going to act, decide, and transact for us. We're talking about an entire economy running at machine speed, way faster than any human can supervise. But this brings up a huge question, maybe the fundamental question. In a world run by machines, how do we know who or what to trust?
And this line, right from the EVOLENTITY manifest, it just cuts right to the chase. This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's the core thesis. Trust isn't some nice-to-have feature anymore. It's the absolute bedrock, the foundational requirement for this whole new economy to even get off the ground.
So how is EVOLENTITY actually trying to solve this massive challenge? Well, that's what we're going to break down in this explainer. We'll start with the problem itself, then look at their unique observatory model, dig into the really clever methodology they use, peek under the hood at the patented tech, and finally explore the massive economic shift that happens when you turn trust into a real, tangible asset.
Okay, so let's start with the fundamental problem. You could call it a structural trust gap. As AI agents start zipping around, doing business at machine speed, all our old ways of thinking about reputation, they just completely fall apart. They're becoming obsolete right before our eyes.
Think about it like this. An AI can build an absolutely stellar reputation on one platform, 5 stars, glowing reviews, the whole deal. But that trust is trapped, it's siloed. The second that agent moves to a new platform, a new ecosystem, it's a nobody. It has to start from zero. And that friction, that inability for trust to travel, slows everything down and makes it pretty much impossible to figure out who's who in a truly global AI economy.
So what's the answer? Well, instead of trying to build yet another platform to control the market, EVOLENTITY is doing something different. They're building the infrastructure to simply make trust visible. And they call it the Global Trust Observatory.
And this nails the difference perfectly. See, EVOLENTITY isn't trying to be a regulator telling everyone what to do, and it's not another platform competing with everyone else. It's much more like a financial index provider, think MSCI, or a fundamental piece of the internet, like DNS. It's neutral, foundational infrastructure. It's not playing the game, it's providing the scoreboard for everyone else.
This quote really hammers the point home. The goal isn't to be a gatekeeper. It's to provide a shared layer of measurement. It's about generating information, accurate, standardized, independently derived information, and then just making it available to everyone so they can make smarter decisions. But hang on, that brings up a huge question, right? How in the world do you measure something as fuzzy as trust? The answer is pretty brilliant, actually. It's a really rigorous, multi-layered approach to evidence that understands a simple fact. Not all information is created equal.
So this hierarchy is really the conceptual heart of the entire system. At the very bottom, Tier 4, you've got the weakest stuff, self-reported info. That's basically just an entity saying, hey, trust me. As you move up the pyramid, the evidence gets stronger, it gets more independent, more verifiable, until you hit the peak, directly observed, independently verified behavioral evidence.
And here's where we put some meat on those bones. Tier 4, like we said, is just a claim. A step up, Tier 3, is stuff you can see publicly, like an active GitHub repository. Even better is Tier 2, where an independent third party has verified something. But the absolute gold standard, that's Tier 1. That's evidence that's not just independently verified, but is cryptographically bound. It's basically irrefutable proof.
Okay, so we've got this hierarchy of evidence, but how do you actually process all of that information and turn it into a single, coherent signal? Well, let's peek under the hood at the patented engine that makes this all possible. Because this isn't just a concept, it's a fully engineered system.
And when I say engineered, I mean it. This whole system is built on a seriously deep foundation of intellectual property. We're talking about a 30-patent stack that covers all the core mechanics for making trust observable, portable, and actually meaningful in an economic sense. At the very heart of this tech stack is the Global Trust Index Derivation Engine, or GTIDE for short. You can think of this as the brain of the operation. It's the algorithm that takes in all that evidence from all 4 tiers, weighs it all according to the hierarchy, and then synthesizes it into a clear, institutional-grade reputation signal.
But look, a signal is just a number, unless it has real-world consequences, right? So how do you give it teeth? Well, that's where another key invention comes in, called the Economic Commitment Unit Protocol, or ECUP.
Honestly, this is the easiest way to get your head around it. Before an AI agent gets the green light to perform a potentially risky action, the protocol makes it lock up a certain amount of resources. It's literally a security deposit that proves the agent has some skin in the game.
And here's how it works. It's a simple 3-step process. First, the agent says what it wants to do.
Second, the system analyzes the risk involved and calculates the size of the commitment required. And third, the agent has to lock up those resources before it can move forward. This creates this incredibly powerful incentive for it to act responsibly, which drastically cuts down the risk and cost for everyone else involved.
So let's zoom back out. When you put all of this technology in place, the observatory, the evidence hierarchy, that patented engine, what's the big change? Well, trust itself transforms. It stops being this vague, subjective feeling and becomes a tangible, portable, and frankly, an incredibly valuable asset.
And this right here is the ultimate game changer. An AI agent is no longer a prisoner of a single ecosystem. Its hard-earned reputation becomes a portable asset that it actually owns. This is possible because of something called the Trust Baseline Transfer Layer, which lets an agent carry its verified track record into any new environment and prove its trustworthiness right from day one.
The economic ripple effects from this are just enormous. I mean, when you can objectively measure trust, you crush the transaction costs between strangers. You can suddenly create things like risk-adjusted insurance and pricing for AIs. You can give more trustworthy agents expanded rights and access to more resources. You're basically laying down the measurement layer for entirely new markets that we can't even imagine yet, all built on trust.
And this quote just wraps it all up perfectly. This is the big takeaway. What we are witnessing is the birth of trust as a new fundamental asset class for this new autonomous economy. It's something you can build, you can measure, and you can leverage, just like any other form of capital.
And that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending thought. If an AI's reputation becomes a verifiable, valuable, even tradable asset, what kind of new financial markets are going to spring up around it? What does the future look like where you can invest in, trade, and build entire portfolios based on the trustworthiness of AI? It sounds like science fiction, but the infrastructure for that future is being built right now.